Welcome back to the Elon Paradox series.
I am really glad you are still here with me for episode 4. Before we begin, take 1 second to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Because what you are about to hear today is the darkest chapter of this entire journey. And now, ask yourself something. What would happen if one day you could no longer tell which thoughts were truly yours and which thoughts were signals sent by a machine? What would happen if the human brain, the place where truth is born, was directly connected to a device that could read, write, and alter perception? And what would happen when humanity steps across the moment that the future calls the threshold moment, the moment that separates human from machine, real awareness from engineered awareness? The very first Neuralink implantation triggered that moment. A successful signal.
A fallen electrode.
A giant leap forward.
A chilling warning. Today, we are not just talking about technology, not just about artificial intelligence, not just about information. Today,
we are talking about the price of touching the human mind. Episode 4 is called The Price. The price of controlling reality at the level of thought. Elon Musk did not enter the mind war because of ambition.
He entered it because of fear, the fear that humanity is being steered by systems it does not control, the fear that truth has become property owned by algorithms, the fear that civilization is being shaped by stories written by machines. But then he realized something deeper. Even if you win back the narrative, it is still not enough, because the narrative is only the surface of the mind. Phones are just a side door. Social networks are only delivery systems. The future does not lie in where we read information.
It lies in the place where thoughts begin. That was when Elon believed the phone was already outdated. The world needed a new interface, a direct interface between the brain and the machine. From that point forward, the philosophy of organic risk addiction emerged, a form of risk hunger that had followed him since childhood. It pushed him not only to attempt the most dangerous ideas, but to test them on real human bodies. Neuralink is not just technology, it is biological power. The power to access the nervous system directly, where humans define their own reality. And any power that touches the brain always comes with a dark price. Isolation from the scientific community, suspicion from the media, ethical pressure that nobody wants to carry,
and the fear of millions who believe Elon is going too far. This power is not a reward. It is a wound, and Elon knows it. But he keeps walking forward anyway. Truth is never free, and the greater the truth is, the more brutal the price becomes. Neuralink is not a truth people accept easily.
It is not like a phone,
not like smart glasses,
not like a removable software application. It is an extension of you, and anything that touches you awakens an instinctive fear. When Elon said the future would be a brain interface, people laughed. When he said phones would disappear, they mocked him. When he warned about the mind war, they ridiculed him. When he said consciousness could be recorded, they called him insane. The truth of Neuralink is the idea of mind as hardware,
turning the brain into a biological USB port.
A place where signals can be read, a place where signals can be written, a place where memories can be accessed, a place where perception itself can be changed. And that truth comes with a dark price, losing friends within the scientific world, being attacked by human rights organizations, being labeled as someone who wants to turn humanity into cyborgs,
being pushed away from the mainstream. If you want to speak the truth about the future, you must accept being exiled from the present. Truth makes you lonely. Truth sets you apart.
Truth turns you into a target. But the most painful part is this. The truth of Neuralink has made Elon lose the trust of people who once stood beside him. Controlling information is already terrifying.
Controlling the human brain is terrifying many times more. The first stage of the mind war was controlling platforms.
The second stage was controlling interfaces. The final stage is controlling the place where information is born.
The brain, Neuralink is not just an implant technology.
It is the infrastructure of consciousness, a chip that can read thoughts,
A signal that can trigger movement.
a brain turned into a communication device, perception turned into data, and data can be edited. One wrong signal changes emotion. One wrong line of code distorts memory.
One software error becomes a neurological accident. The very first Neuralink surgery was both a miracle and a warning, and with this power, Elon must face an unavoidable price. He becomes a target for governments,
For anti-technology groups,
for hackers,
for corporations that want to control Neuralink, every action is misinterpreted.
every advancement is viewed as a threat. Every small mistake is magnified into a crime. And the cruelest paradox is this: the more he tries to control the danger, the more the world thinks he wants to control them. This is the curse of anyone holding absolute power. Nobody believes you are doing it for them.
Elon Musk is not allowed to be a normal human being. He is not allowed to be tired. He is not allowed to be wrong. He is not allowed to fall. Neuralink makes everything many times worse with rockets. A mistake is a technical failure. With electric cars, a mistake is a commercial loss. But with a chip placed inside the human brain, a mistake is a human life. He is no longer just an engineer.
He is no longer just a chief executive officer.
He is being forced into becoming the gatekeeper of humanity's biological future. And the personal price begins to reveal itself, losing privacy, losing normalcy,
Losing the right to be vulnerable.
losing the ability to be a complete father to his children. The psychological jump is not only a jump in technology, it is a jump that pulls him away from a normal life forever. People worship him, and people despise him. Half the world sees him as a symbol of hope. The other half sees him as a threat. But nobody sees what is truly being lost, not money,
Not fame, but the human part that still remains inside Elon Musk. Evolution is not free.
Freedom is not free, and truth
Is even less free if Elon wins the mind war.
Human beings will communicate through thought, control machines with intention, restore physical abilities, learn hundreds of times faster, and evolve into transhuman. But a greater question appears: is that freedom
or dependence? You can turn off a phone, but you cannot turn off a chip placed inside the brain. And if Elon loses the mind war, we will face an era of synthetic consciousness, synthetic memories, synthetic emotions, synthetic beliefs, a future where artificial intelligence does not just create fake videos.
but creates fake experiences. Will truth still exist?
Or will it become a data file edited by whoever holds the most power? And then the final question rises: does artificial intelligence define humanity?
Or does humanity define artificial intelligence? If Neuralink is a step of evolution, it can also be a step away from human nature. Evolution always has a price. But this time, the price is not blood.
Not war.
It is the human mind itself. Is there anyone strong enough to pay the price for the future of our entire species without losing themselves in the process? But this is only the first price. Because when Neuralink opens the door to transhuman, a new kind of human being will appear. Not fully biological, not fully mechanical, something in between. And that future carries a price of its own. One group of people will choose evolution. They will say that the natural speed of the human brain is no longer enough to survive in the age of artificial intelligence. They want to learn faster,
Remember longer.
feel more broadly,
Think more boldly.
They want to become a superior version of themselves, but another group will refuse. They believe humanity must preserve what is finite, preserve what is fragile, preserve what is imperfect, and then a new divide will form. A divide not between rich and poor, not between powerful and ordinary, but between natural humans and enhanced humans. Transhumanity is not just evolution. It is divergence.
For the first time in history, humanity will no longer be one single species. Enhanced individuals will think faster,
make decisions quicker, react more sharply, and process information many times better than ordinary people. And the question will
arise: can a society stay peaceful when half
of it has a brain connected to superintelligence and the other
half does not? Will natural humans still be considered enough?
when the new standard is artificially superior? Will work, power, and politics still be fair when one side thinks 5 futures per second and the other side thinks only at the pace of biology? Will love remain whole when emotions can be enhanced, softened, or fine-tuned through signals? The future of transhumanity is not only a story about technology, it is the separation of humanity's identity. When human beings upgrade their brains, we are not only changing the future,
we are changing the definition of being human. You have just walked through the entire cost of power,
the cost of truth,
the cost of controlling information,
and finally, the cost of touching human consciousness. Neuralink opens a new door, but every door that opens closes another door behind it. And behind the door lies the final question of the mind will dot in the age of artificial intelligence. Who will be the last human being? Not the strongest,
not the smartest, but the person who understands the true price of truth. If you feel that this episode is worth thinking about, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so you will not miss the final episode, episode 5, the conclusion of the entire journey.it, is called The Last Human. What happens when artificial intelligence understands you better than you understand yourself? If you are ready for the ultimate truth,
say one word. Continue.